Unfortunately for Chargers fans, your team has been eliminated from the playoffs. There are a lot of questions surrounding this team, especially after the performance they put on the field Saturday afternoon. Now, before we dive into what is next for the Chargers, if you guys have not already, go down there and drop a like. I plan on doing this What's Next series for every team after they get eliminated from the playoffs. So if your team got eliminated this weekend, you want to see me do this video, drop it down in the comment section and we can get them up next. But before we talk about what's next for this team, I just want to quickly remind you guys where this team was 1 year ago today. Probably not to the exact date, but you guys get the point right here. They were not a playoff football team. You can see right there, record of 5-12. Brandon Staley was their head coach. This was a brutally bad team. Didn't they get absolutely killed by the Raiders by like 70? Really bad team, and they drafted within the top 6 or 7 and ended up going with Joe Alt. So the quick turnaround this Chargers team had from last season to this season, it definitely needs to be congratulated. But I don't want people to forget about that because they had a very quick turnaround. Obviously, people are talking about the Commanders, and that is, rightfully so. They did win this weekend. But the Chargers were a team who were picking, and we'll call it the NFL lottery. It's teams that didn't make the playoffs. That was the 5 seed in a very competitive AFC this year. Yes, they might have gotten smacked on national TV by the Houston Texans. I don't want people to forget about how crazy of a turnaround it was from year 1 to year 2 with Jim Harbaugh, obviously, and a pretty new roster. They had a very good year. Now, the game itself against the Texans, it was a weird one. A lot of bad breaks just did not fall the Chargers' way. The score does not tell the full story of the game. You guys can see the box score right here. It was 6-10 going into halftime. This game was very close for basically 3/4 of the football game, and then a few unfortunate pick sixes, some dropped passes, some calls that probably should have gone the other way. And it is a 32-12 game. Bright spots of this team. Ladd McConkey, he set the record for most rookie receiving yards in a game. The dude is going to be an absolute monster for years to come. He had an 86-yard dime from Justin Herbert. He is going to be very good. Your offensive tackles of the future are set. Your interior offensive line needs a whole revamp, but Rashawn Slater, Joe Alt, you are good to go there. Quentin Johnston might be the most inconsistent football player of all time. I want to pull up his stat line from last week, and then I want to pull up his stat line from this week. But on the season, he had a fairly good season. He had a very good week 18, or was it week 17? Week 18, where he had 186 receiving yards. So he had an absolute crazy end to the season. But then this week, he had 5 targets, 0 receptions. I'm pretty sure he had a drop in there. He is so inconsistent, and that is not what you want to see from your quote-unquote wide receiver 1. I definitely think Ladd McConkey has taken over that title now. Going into the year, they fully thought this guy was going to be their wide receiver 1. They obviously draft Ladd, but Ladd is a slot guy. They did not expect him to have this type of season. He had this type of season. He is now a borderline top 15 guy in the league. The question comes down to, for the offseason, what do you do at this wide receiver 2 spot? You need multiple good wide receivers. You see this on all of the true contending teams, except the Buffalo Bills, but that is a conversation for another day because James Cook, he is really that guy. But the Houston Texans, the Chiefs, the Ravens even have multiple good receiving options. The Chargers, they have Ladd McConkey. I don't even know who their tight ends are. And then they got Quentin Johnson. This is done with a purpose. Last offseason, the Chargers let go 3 of their biggest just names in recent memory, honestly. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Austin Eckler. It was a salary cap move, but you're kind of setting yourself up for failure. Now, they can easily address this weapon just issue in the offseason. The free agency portal, the receiver class is actually deeper than I originally thought. There are some pretty good aging veterans, which Chargers got rid of theirs, but they can always bring someone back in. And then, of course, the NFL draft. And yeah, just taking a look at last year's draft class, they did pretty good. Tariq still really good value in the 5th round. Obviously, Joe Alt and Ladd McConkey we already talked about. Going forward into the 2025 NFL draft, where it is definitely not the strongest draft class we have seen in recent years, but there is going to be some solid players in the later rounds, especially in that wide receiver pool. If you are the Chargers, you have to draft at least one offensive weapon, whether that be a running back, tight end, or wide receiver. the wide receiver class this year is not looking the greatest. The running back class is looking fairly generational. You can get some really, really good talent day 3, so definitely wait on that. Now let's take a look at their offseason. You guys can see on the top of your screen, these are their free agents, and a big one being Khalil Mack. Now, Khalil Mack teased retirement, so that is a conversation for another day. I am going to go under the impression he is going to continue to play football. He will be 34 by the time of next season. He might be done after next season, but I think he's got one more year in him. Signed him to a 1-year farewell tour type of season. If you lose Khalil Mack for nothing, that's not great. You let Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Austin Eckler walk so you could bring back the tandem of Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. That was the thought process there. Other big, just kind of key free agents here that are, you should keep your eye out on. J.K. Dobbins, I think, will come back. Poona Ford, Asante Samuel. Joshua Palmer is a good wide receiver 3. He can make plays when plays are needed, but you need to have somebody else in there who can make plays at a Ladd McConkey type of level. I feel like we've got that pretty much hit home right there. Marcus May was another good one. Where is my boy Tony Jefferson? This out on the broadcast was basically retired. They brought him back on a 1-year deal, and now he is going to get paid. I think if you are the Chargers, you have to bring him back. I mean, obviously, I am not a Chargers fan, so I don't exactly know what Chargers fans want to see brought back from your free agents. But definitely losing Khalil Mack for nothing is going to hurt. Which I don't necessarily know if that's going to happen, but, he is toying with the thought, so I would not be shocked if he is done playing football after the season. I haven't mentioned Justin Herbert yet, but that is a big talking point right now on Twitter to just absolutely shit on him. I don't think Justin Herbert is a bad football player. Obviously, he has not won a playoff game. Whatever. He is good. The Texans are a very good playoff team. Obviously, they were ice cold going into the playoffs, but we saw last year, they are a good playoff team. I did not expect the Chargers to win this game, and I don't think you can put that necessarily on Justin Herbert. This team won 5 games last year. If you are a Chargers fan, what's next for you? I think you will be back in the playoffs. I think you will continue to build on this year. This was a building block season. People would not have been shocked if you didn't make the playoffs. They would not have been calling for Harbaugh's job. This was in my eyes, a W of a year. Obviously, there are some holes that need to be filled. Interior offensive line, wide receiver, tight end, but you got a quarterback. You got some good pieces on defense. If you lose Khalil Mack, you always can bring in another edge rusher. You got Derwin James. You got Asante Samuel Jr. There are some pieces on the defense that I do like. There are some pieces on the defense I don't like. But going forward, I do think this Chargers team has a very bright future. Put down below what you guys think about the Chargers and what team you want to see me break down next. But until then, have a fantastic rest of your afternoon. I love you guys. Peace, gents. Have a good one.